With all the latest weekend headlines now this Sunday evening, it's the ITV News.
The Queen says she's humbled and touched after 4 days of celebrating her service. Thousands cheered as she returned to the Buckingham Palace balcony as the Jubilee drew to a close with a pageant marking 7 decades of duty.
We've had a very harsh 2 years, so this is like freedom. We feel good, we're enjoying ourselves, celebrating the Queen. Like it's good.
As the clean-up begins, we'll be reflecting on the scenes we've seen here and across the country. Also tonight, Russia strikes at Kyiv for the first time for almost 5 weeks, and
from Buckingham Palace, this is ITV News with Gamal Fahnbulleh.
good evening from Buckingham Palace, where 4 days of celebrations to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee have drawn to a close with an unexpected appearance from her. Tonight she thanked the millions of people who turned out for events up and down the country, saying it's left her humbled and touched. Earlier, many of them lined the route of a pageant celebrating her 70-year reign. But it was the image of the Queen, flanked by 3 generations of her family, that they'd all been waiting for. As our royal editor, Chris Shipp, now reports.
My heart has been with you all, said the Queen tonight, even though I couldn't attend everything this week that I'd wanted to. It came in a thank you message for her Jubilee. And this afternoon she brought onto the balcony the 3 kings who will one day do the job she has done. That nod to the future followed an afternoon of looking back, a pageant for the 7 varied decades of the Queen's reign. From the gold state coach used for her coronation, it was a hologram of the Queen inside, not the Queen herself, to the stars and cars, cults and crazes, music and musicians who have been part of national life.
She has been there strongly, dignified, absolutely wonderful example of someone committed to a job and never budged from it.
In the royal box, something was clearly entertaining Prince Charles. And while Prince Louis might not have comprehended the enormity of his great-grandmother's reign, there was some fun to be had and some precious moments with his grandpa. And for the performers taking part, a moment to shine on a national and an historic stage.
You lot are the finale, you are the conclusion.
So magical, so lively,
Should be amazing
so colourful and so celebrating.
Everybody just coming together, celebrating, you know?
Yeah. Do you think we kind of needed it? We
We did. After we've had a harsh 2 years.
And when the pageant was done, the Mall was once again opened up.
Wales, Ireland, Scotland and England. You get the mnemonic?
This is a bit of unity after a lot of discord.
Absolutely. I saw the unity there, and we need unity.
You've got yourself right at the front.
I have. I'm strategically placed.
And those who got to the front got to see Ed Sheeran up close, but on this stage, he was just the warm-up. This was the act the crowds had come to see. One who has been on the international stage for 70 years. And it was her hope, said the Queen tonight, that this Platinum Jubilee would lead to a renewed sense of coming together.
And Chris is with me now. Chris, a very personal message from the Queen.
Yeah, it was, and I think it is worth remembering those images from the Buckingham Palace balcony today, because after the Queen had gone inside, I was left wondering if we would ever see such an image again. You know, and that's not just because we won't see another Jubilee, because we won't for many, many years. It's because, you know, as we've seen in the events of the last few days, the Queen is doing less and less, and that means that the transition is underway. It will quicken in pace, and that is why she brought out, you know, Prince Charles and Camilla, Prince William and Kate, and in turn, of course, George, Charlotte and Louis, because she was pointing to them. They are the future, and that was the message that she was giving today.
Yeah, it certainly has been a remarkable few days. Chris, thank you. Well, while thousands turned out here, millions more attended events across the country with street parties, baking competitions and even a royal cheese rolling race in Gloucestershire, each bringing their community and the country together to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, as Ben Chapman reports.
From the seafront to city streets and village cricket pitches.
That's a winner.
On the last day of this Jubilee weekend, the celebrations showed no signs of quietening down. In fact, in Morecambe Bay, they marked the Queen's record-breaking reign with a record attempt of their own for the world's biggest picnic, 500 tables stretching well over a mile.
We've got cakes, we've got trifles.
We've got sandwiches, olives, hummus, crisps.
It's just really nice to be here to celebrate.
And they weren't the only ones trying to make the big Jubilee lunch as big as they could. Two villages straddling Oxfordshire and Berkshire joining forces for the longest street party to honour the Queen.
We hope that by doing this, it emulates what she's done for us. We're hoping to do something for her by keeping the sort of home spirit going.
But for sheer craziness, nothing beats royal cheese rolling in Gloucestershire. This year, the reward for hurtling down the hillside was a Union Jack Jubilee cheese, of course.
Gorgeous girl.
At this event in Northern Ireland, the celebrations were a little more sedate. But along with the Queen, there's that other great constant in British life, the unreliability of the weather. Despite the rain in many places today, jubilation wouldn't be dampened.
It's the least we can do to show our appreciation for what that woman has done for us.
For even the youngest, it has been a once-in-a-lifetime event that will live long in the memory. Ben Chapman, ITV News.
Well, away from here and to Ukraine, where a series of Russian missile attacks have hit Kyiv. Moscow says they were targeting tanks supplied by Europe. Ukrainian authorities have dismissed the claim, saying a train repair plant was hit. It's the first strike on the capital in weeks. From Kyiv, here's Lucy Watson.
First, they saw the columns of smoke, then a fireball. The capital in Russia's sights again. Its residents once more in fear. 5 missiles fired from warships in the Caspian Sea did this. A warning from Russia to the West not to supply Ukraine with long-range weapons.
If they're supplied, we will draw appropriate conclusions and use our means of destruction, which we have plenty of, in order to strike at those objects that we have not yet struck.
Moscow says equipment for Ukraine's army was being kept inside this building. But tonight in Kyiv, that was refuted.
Russia says there were tanks and military vehicles inside.
You can come in and see by your own eyes. That is the reason you are here, because it's a typical example of Russian propaganda. They are falsifying information for the global audience.
This was a strike on the country's infrastructure, crippling its capabilities further.
Russian forces haven't targeted Kyiv in nearly 5 weeks now, and this was a factory servicing the railways. But there were people inside, sheltering in a bunker when it was hit.
Thankfully, none of them were killed. Attempts to return to normal have been made in this region, an area spared from destruction in recent weeks. But thick plumes of smoke and smouldering buildings are a reminder that this is still a city at war. Lucy Watson, ITV News, Kyiv.
In football, Wales have secured a World Cup place for the first time in more than 6 decades. The only goal of the game came thanks to a deflected Gareth Bale strike. But it took the heroics of Wayne Hennessy in goal to keep Ukraine from equalising in a game of high emotion. Chris Gudder watched in Cardiff.
Yes! Come on, Wales! One game from taking on the world, but mutual respect and in their time of need, the national pride of Ukraine, running so much deeper than football.
The last game, the soldiers were watching the game in the trenches.
Yeah.
And, you know,
it's all about the spirit.
They need that the most.
This is a football match, and for 90 minutes today, we will forget about everything and play our football match.
The Queen had only been on the throne for 6 years the last time Wales made the World Cup finals. Emotions ran high on both sides. Ukrainian refugees watching the drama unfold in a nearby fan zone sang a half-time song of hope. And their prayers were nearly answered. 58, the year the Queen made Prince Charles the Prince of Wales. It really has been a Jubilee weekend for Welsh football. Chris Scudder, ITV News, Cardiff.
And finally, let's return to events here at Buckingham Palace. Our royal editor, Chris Shipp, is here for one last time. Chris, you've been here for the duration. Has what we've seen over the last few days surprised you at all?
I suppose one thing that surprised me is it stayed dry throughout, and actually, as you can see, you might be able to see it's raining at the moment here. But how do you sum up what we've witnessed here in the last few days? You know, from Trooping the Colour, from that amazing 7-0 that was painted in the skies by the RAF, St Paul's Cathedral, the light show at the Palace last night, and that pageant today. It has been quite a remarkable time, and historic time, yes. I think what we've seen from the crowds here, at least, is an affection, a genuine affection for the monarch. Someone who is increasingly suffering from frail health. But as she said herself in that statement message tonight, I remain committed to serving you to the best of my ability, supported by my family. But I think what we have seen here is the end of another chapter of this remarkably long reign of Elizabeth II.
OK, Chris, many thanks indeed. And that is it from us here. A very good night. Many thanks indeed for watching. Bye-bye.
There's a chilly tang